Everyone, can people hear me out there in Zoom land?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for confirmation. We've been having technical difficulties this morning. So welcome, got some new individuals here today. We'll do a little round of introductions. About 5 after, we'll go ahead and get started. Do we need to record?
It is recording.
Okay, it looks different to me.
Yes, it looks different now. They updated it.
Update. Okay, very good. In lieu of Philip Sini, who is at a training this week, I will be taking over the responsibilities of running this meeting. My name is Kelly Sheen. I'm the district manager for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District. And we'll do a round in the room, and then we'll do a round on Zoom. So I'll pass to my left.
Hello, this is Skylar Fisher, Trinity County Fire Safe Council Coordinator. Sorry, the Highway 3 is all under construction. Carol Fall, Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department.
John and Jeanette Lorieso, this is our first year, I guess, kind of full-time in town. So welcome.
Welcome. Do you live here in town?
Just up by Dam Boulevard
Oh, Trinity Boulevard.
and Highway 3.
Near, is that in the Lake, no, Rush Creek Estates?
No, we're a little above that.
Oh, a little about that.
Just
Okay. Okay, very good. Well, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Pat Frost, Trinity Center Community Service District.
Great. And then we'll go through around in the Zoom. So Christian.
Hi everyone, Christian Jordan, UC Cooperative Extension out of Reading.
Welcome, Christian. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Larry.
Larry Glass, safe alternatives for our forest environment and South Fork Mountain LAA.
Awesome. Thanks, Larry. Jerry.
Hi, everybody. Jerry Cousins at the Collaborative and also the Weaverville local area representative.
Great. Thanks, Jerry, for being here. Dave.
Dave DeLang or Dave Colbeck?
Dave DeLang.
All right, Dave DeLang, Vegetation Program Manager, Assistant Superintendent, Trinity Public Utility District.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Dave. Megan.
Hey, it's Megan Colleen with the Watershed Research and Training Center, comms person.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Megan. Allie. Not hearing you, Dina, if you're talking. I see that you're not on mute.
Our independence also.
Okay, moving on. David Colbeck.
David Colbeck, Trinity County Natural Resources Division.
Very good. Thanks for being here, David. Bethany.
Bethany Llewellyn, Forest Health Program Manager at Trinity County RCD.
Thanks, Bethany. And Chris.
Hi, this is Chris Cole with the Natural Resource Conservation Service.
Okay, I think that's everybody on. I'll go back. Allie Lee, are you there to do an intro? Okay, are you not there? Okay, not hearing any responses there. Got a couple more people that are coming actually in from the waiting room. Just in time, Bob. You want to do an intro for yourself? Are you there, Bob? You set?
Hey there, this is Bob Doucette with the Trinity Landscape WCS team from the Forest Service.
Excellent. Thanks for being here today, Bob.
Bet.
Yeah, well, Randy, oh. There she is. Hey, Randy, you hear us?
Hey. Yes, good afternoon. Sorry, my connection's horrible today.
We're having our own issues on this end too, so thanks for joining us. Randy.
This is Jerry, and I wanted to ask about that. There's a periodic freezing and lack of no connection. Is that on your end?
It might be, we can turn off our camera, might free up internet.
It just
Yeah,
seems a little troublesome this morning.
if we need to, I think there's a lot going on in and
Okay.
around the county, so, yeah, if you wanna turn that off. It'll just be all audio all day, so. Okay, with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda today? Early departures that we need to be aware of for project updates or anything like that?
Jerry, again, I have to be out of here at 2:30. And now I'm not hearing anything.
Kelly, are you hearing us? Because I don't think we're hearing you.
Okay, 2:30. Thanks, Jerry. Meeting today. Okay, any grants? We don't have any listed here, but are there any grant opportunities right now that anybody wants to bring up or make the group aware of?
So I've been getting notices, the North Coast Resource Partnership, NCLP. Their implementation, before self-implementation grants are due August 4th. I think it's the 4th. We have a current grant from them, so I can't apply for more money, but, so I get that one done. But, anyway, they're looking for, kind of technical assistance. Technical assistance and some.
So
Thank you, Carol.
it's not a current grant kind of thing, but just a heads up. So this is Pat, as the California Fire Safe Council board member, is that the legislature approved, the governor has signed for the November election. I think it's a $10 billion climate bond. About $1 billion of that is going to be specifically directed towards fuels reduction, fire safe kind of issues. The reason I bring it up is the California Fire Safe Council is beginning to talk to people in Sacramento about whether or not that would be a good, and the bond is a 10-year kind of funding mechanism, whether or not that would be a good way to find reliable and sustainable funding for fire safe council coordinators. So look forward to hearing from the California Fire Safe Council staff about how you can let people know how there's got to be room in there for coordinators.
That's great. That's good news.
I'm gonna try Ally one more time since she's somebody.
Okay, Ally Lee, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Allie Lee with the Humboldt Area Foundation and Wild Rivers Community Foundation.
Very good.
Ally, we were on the part of the agenda where we're letting people know if there's different grants available. Do you know if right now if Humboldt area or Wild Rivers has anything open?
We're, as there's so much going on disaster-wise, we're fairly low on our disaster response and resilience fund. We're really prioritizing emergency response needs to support first responders for this current fire events. So that's why I wasn't going to bring it up today because there's not a lot to offer today, depending on our funding streams. Does that clarify?
Well, confirmation is always good.
Yeah, that helps.
That does
Okay.
help. Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else for grants? Grant opportunities, funding sources. Okay, hearing none. I'm gonna go on to item 5, our update from the Fire Safe Council Coordinator. Take it away, Skylar.
As always, the past month was busy, but we got a lot accomplished. We have basically finished out the Fire Safe art contest that we ran, and we have about 400 magnets from the winners. So we've reached out to the winners, gave them each 10 magnets, and then brought and gave out a bunch of magnets at the Trinity County Fair, which we tabled at 2 weekends ago. That was very successful. We tracked 300 people coming to the booth, talking with them. That tabling was in partnership with, of course, there was an RCD table, but also we tabled with the wildfire crisis strategy team. So that was a really cool partnership. We unveiled Trivia Jenga for the first time. That was largely successful with the children. So that was really fun, and now that's like a good way to have an all ages engagement, trivia questions on fire safety in Trinity County and that kind of thing. Kind of, I suppose this is consistent with like the grants item, but I've been working with somebody at Cal Poly Humboldt to try to get funding for a communications risk assessment for Trinity County. They were already putting together a proposal for Humboldt. Sometimes I send out emails to people and I'm like, do you have funding for this thing that I would like funding for? Most of the times the answer is no, but when I reached out to Connie, she said, oh, actually there might be funding for what you're looking for in Trinity County. So that would be an on the ground risk assessment, having, hopefully we would want to get students either from Humboldt or from Shasta to do like a summer project where they drive around, look at existing towers and repeaters. But we'll have to wait and see whether or not that is approved or goes forward, but we're excited about that. Yeah. We're hoping to get the hazard mitigation plan to Cal OES for review in August. So we've still been updating it. We got a lot of great feedback from the 11 community meetings in May and June that we are now incorporating. And then the input that we got on the evacuation routes is being used to update our evacuation route layer. We're running a hazard risk analysis on the identified evacuation routes based on wildfire hazard, landslides, earthquakes, and similar hazard risks. And then we'll be breaking down that hazard analysis by maps. So we're going to be creating a collection of 8.5 by 11 maps to cover all the evacuation routes by clusters of evacuation zones in the county. So it's a bit of a lift from our GIS team. So I really appreciate all the support that we're getting from them to make that happen. We've compiled the notes and information that we got from the community meetings in May and June. And it was supposed to be this like really concise short list of things that we are now acting on, and that's like about 20 pages across all the community meetings. So really a lot of awesome information that we've gotten, and from there, of course, we're using that to update the hazard plans that we're working on, but also want to compile like statements for different agencies, like what did all the communities think about the Forest Service, then forwarding that on to Shasta and Six Rivers and that kind of thing. So everybody can stay in the loop and understand what was communicated at those meetings. So that's the bulk of it. The CWPP is moving forward, and we are still on the same timeline for by the end of next year having an update for the community wildfire protection plan. And in September, we will have a Grizzly Fellow dedicated to the Fire Safe Council to support in our hazard mitigation plan and outreach efforts. So very excited to be getting some additional help there. That is the update. Cool. I can answer any questions.
Jerry, you have a question?
Hey, not a question, but I just want to give props to Skylar for using the go bags for the food bank. It was a great idea.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, I reached out to Jeff and asked if we could use our evacuation go bags for food bank distribution in the month of June. So we handed over approximately 1,200 evacuation go bags to be used to pack for the month of June. So I felt like that was a pretty cool thing. So I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
totally. Great job using those.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Anything else for Skylar?
So this is Carol. I have a question. So I'm just wondering if you had a chance to delve any further into that the game on the evacuation game.
Yes. So I
heard a thing on NPR where there was a professor that had turned evacuation planning into a game where a community got together and they would get assigned certain things like, okay, you got animals and you got a neighbor who needs help, and how do you get them out of there? Where are you gonna go? And all this stuff. And I sent the NPR article to Skylar, of course, dumping on Skylar, saying, Skylar, what can you do with this?
So I reached out to the professor and I was like, this is really cool that they called it serious games. These serious games are really cool and an awesome tool to engage residents in evacuation planning in a way that's kind of more accessible than other means of doing so. And I mentioned them like Trinity Center and Trinity County would love to be a case study for how successful this evacuation board game is. And he did reach back out to me with additional resources and like assets that he's used for the different like board game community meetings that he's done. When he got back to me, he said he's going to be out of the office for a little bit, but said that he would like to communicate further about it. So yeah, maybe that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Sounded fun. Okay.
Excellent. Anything else for Skylar? Okay. Hearing none, and before we move on, I just wanted to ask our guests, as new people to the group, not to put you on the spot, but what's your interest? How did you hear about the Fire Safe Council, and what brought you here today?
I got the email from Fire.
Okay.
And I didn't even observe that. I don't know, are we in reference? We know if it's appropriate for us to share.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, because we're new to the community and we've never lived up in a mountain community, we need as much information as we can about the safety of living in this area. Of course, we're at the fire. Just knowing what our resources are and how to get connected.
So Jeanette, Skylar, there.
Oh, okay. Very,
That was awesome.
very
Where you guys be? We're going
great. Well, obviously, you're most welcome to be here, and you'll get a lot of information as we're going through our partner updates about all the kind of activities and efforts that are going on right currently and what we're planning for the future. So welcome and thanks for that. Okay, we'll move into project updates.
So we do have a note from Jerry saying that it is hard to hear us currently. I can try. Can anyone hear us? Is this better?
What's happening is you guys are cutting out completely brief, then you come back on.
Exactly. I can't hear much of what you hear. Like sometimes it's just like every other word. Sometimes it's a whole period of time.
We're trying to fix it. Hang on.
So usually it all sounds like gobbledygook, all this acronyms and stuff going on, but hang in there.
So how much property, do you have a lot of property or?
There we go. Is that better?
15
acres?
Well, I can hear you right now.
I can't tell.
Yeah, I could too, but then it sounds like people are underwater for a while and then there's nothing.
Okay. So that's the speaker. So. And
See a little green light there.
is that any better?
That was pretty clear.
Okay, let's try that. Sorry for that. Okay. With that, we'll move on to project updates. And with the all of our partners in reverse alphabetical order today, to switch things up. We are going to go straight to the Watershed Research and Training Center. Is that you, Randy, or Megan?
Yeah, I can give Megan an opportunity to speak if she would like to. Megan, do you have anything for the group?
Not really, just the fire programs on standby for the Mid-Klamath Watershed Council. We're not obviously doing any burning locally. And they're doing a bunch of trainings in neighboring counties, like, you know, Basic 32 and stuff like that. So working on workforce development and capacity building.
Great. Thank you, Megan. So yeah, here we are. It's the middle of field season, but it's hot and dry. And so we're navigating all of the different restrictions on our implementation. We've made very good progress on the Wells Mountain fuel break as part of our Old Forest Health Grant. That's working with Sierra Pacific Industries. And, you know, we're wrapping up that Forest Health Grant. So we also have work occurring on the Mad River Ridge fuel break. I think folks have heard that Nancy came to work with the Watershed Center when she retired from the Forest Service. So she's been helping Chester and the crews with organizing their work for the season, training new Forest Service people. So it's kind of really nice to have her with the Watershed Center helping our implementation on the Mad River Ranger District. Another piece that we've been working on is along Pelletrew Ridge Road. That's actually part of our New Forest Health Grant in cooperation with Trinity Timberlands. So our crews have been working to do the hand treatments and chipping and piling. And that was part of a exemption that BBWA prepared because they're the land manager for Trinity Timberland. And all the work associated with that exemption part has to be completed before March of 2025. So we'll have some great examples out there of, you know, very difficult project implementation in the 2015 fire area. And it's our intention to continue up the road on the Forest Service portion with treatments that would complement the work done on the private lands. We're also working in partnership with a contract that the forest put out last year to implement fuels reduction in the Petty John area. So that's moving forward. You know, again, we're still constrained by all the weather and the limited operating periods because of the weather. So looking forward to maybe this heat moderating a bit. And then for me, we're just getting some grants started up. We've been working with NIFWIF on those proposals that the partners worked on. So the RCD has a big part to play in the Upper Trinity NIFWIF proposal. So we should have those executed agreements, we're thinking, in August, and that will provide funding to help with the Bowerman implementation and Trinity camps. And there's a couple of planning projects that both the RCD and the Watershed Center have as part of that. You know, meadow assessments in the Upper Trinity. So quite a lot of fun things happening in the upper part of the basin under that NIFWIF grant. So yeah, I think those are the big things we're doing. Although we are going to be rolling out outreach in Hayfork as part of the Forest Health Grant, similar to what we sent to the High and Palm landowners in probably the next month or so. So I don't know if people are interested in that, but we'll be building the compliance document that we'll be utilizing for the work around Hayfork now that our VTP PSA around High and Palm is kind of moving forward, and it kind of feels like it's on a glide path a bit. And so we're excited to move on to our next project area around Hayfork and get the compliance done that we need done. Yeah, so I think that's it for me, unless people have questions.
Questions for Randy or Megan, the Watershed Center? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Randy, for that update. Okay, moving along. I think we're probably going to go all the way to U.S. Forest Service Shasta Trinity National Forest, and only person I think that I see up there was Bob Doucette.
Yeah, I would definitely want to defer to the rangers and stuff on project updates from our end.
That's okay. I understood. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and move forward then, since I don't see anybody else on the board. So you see Cooperative Extension, Christian, you have any updates for us? How are you settling in?
Hey Kelly, sorry. Yeah, doing well, thank you. I did just want to throw this out to this group. I'm working on some sort of small booklet or document for landowners who are having work done on their properties, grant funded work and fuel reduction work in general. And if anyone here is interested in collaborating on that or just being involved, I'll put my email in the chat. Would be great. Of course, whatever I come up with, we'll bring to the RCD for feedback and input and everything. But just as I'm in this early phase, if anyone wants to be involved, feel free to reach out.
Great.
Hey Christian, this is Carol. So we have a couple new landowners up here, forest landowners, and so I'm seeing the next forest stewardship workshop is in San Luis Obispo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can take it online, but the field trip's down there. Do you know if there's going to be any workshops in the North State coming up?
Yes, thank you for asking. That's a good reminder. So there is a forest stewardship workshop in Humboldt, and it's gonna start, I believe, it's in the fall. So I think it's sometime in October. So I'll get the dates and Carol, I can send them to you if that's the best place.
Think if you put your email address in the chat, I think the
Yep.
Lord might wanna follow up on that.
Okay.
Show them the current curriculum.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
So that'll be all remote on Zoom, and then there's going to be at least one in-person field day, so it won't be too far away from Weaverville. That'll be a good option.
Kristen, this is Skylar. Do you mind sending me the information as well?
Yep, I'll send that to you.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Any
Thank you.
other comments or questions for Kristen? Okay, hearing none. Thanks for that update, Kristen. Appreciate it. Okay, on to the Sanangwe. Dina, do you have any updates for us?
I do. I wanted to let you know we're not having fun over here. The Hill Fire started out with 40 to 50 acres on July 15th. It's now at 7,000 acres. It's 14% contained. All of South Fork Road in Trinity County is on an evacuation warning. There was a community meeting last night, and the community members seem uninformed and very concerned because they don't understand what's happening with the fire. I think that this community has PTSD because every year for the last 4 years, we've had a serious wildfire in our community. We are trying to answer questions every day, and it doesn't seem like the answers are reassuring people, and the fact that the fire keeps growing and that it's there's some confusion because they're not the incident managers are saying that they're not doing backfiring, but they're doing something that's equivalent to backfiring, and it's getting away from it's gotten away from them coming towards the South Fork, but it's a long ways away. And yet people just, I mean, people in Trinity County in are asking what their zones are and are they okay? And it seems like a lot of people don't understand their zones here and are concerned that there's an evacuation. We try to send out maps to people and try to reassure them, but it seems like it's just, there's just not enough specific information. And, you know, the firefighters are fighting hard, they're working hard. And they're putting up the posting, the fire maps every day in community places, but it's just, this community is really on edge, and I do not see a solution to the kinds of concerns that they have. And so if anybody has any
So Dina,
ideas of things that can be done.
Dina, this is Carol.
Yes.
Do people use apps like the fire mappers and the watch duty and stuff, so you can see how far away the fire is from the river on those kind of apps?
You don't understand. We don't have self-service.
Okay,
here.
that answers my question. So you can't use the
Yeah,
app.
there's a lot of people who don't have good information. They don't know how to get it. And for those people who go online, we refer them to the maps and to Watch Duty and to every resource we can refer them to, but it seems like it's all hit and miss, just like the conversation was here today. That's our conversation here. And it's not really as alarming as it seems to people because they're missing pieces of information, and they immediately went into an a urgency model. And I don't know how or who can reassure a community that seems so it's not that they're unprepared, it's just like they don't understand what's going on.
So, Dina, this is Jerry. I just want to maybe get a greater understanding. The community is not able to access the information. They don't think that the information is accurate. There's not a sufficient community presence. Are they using a local area representative to connect with the community? Could you explain just a little more for me?
Last night there was a community meeting, and by the leadership of the incident. And they did their presentation, and it almost seemed like people weren't listening to what was being said, and they came with their questions that may have even been answered in the presentation. And like they said, we're not backfiring. You know, that's not what we're doing. And yet people in the audience said, oh, you guys are backfiring, and I know what's going to happen. This happened in Lewiston. And it's like, they're kind of like off kilter. And so it's like the maps are out. We had a community meeting. Every day there's reports that that incident, that like the Hillfire incident puts out. Basho reinforces it with more maps and all the things he can put out. But that's for people who are online and informed. And then there's this group of people who like in this area, only if you have satellite service can you get cell service. And like there are people on South Fork who all they have is a landline that's not giving them any information. And it's not just South Fork, it's South Fork and Friday Ridge. And now what they've done is they put a whole circle all the way around the fire. That's all, everybody in the complete circle around the fire is on evacuation warning. And some of those are in Heim Palm. So it's like, it's a very remote area. There are no people there, but it's like people are being like re-traumatized, and how we educate them, how we best educate them is what I'm searching for, because I you know, like I believe we're safe. I believe that these are just precautions, and I can say that 100 times a day and it's not helping.
So it sounds to me, as you describe it, that the information is being put out
Yes.
sufficiently, but for some reason, there's portions of the community that are just not accepting it or not being able to access it and accept it.
Both, I think. I think it's both.
Yeah.
If I could speak to this, run into this before in my neck of the woods on South Fork Mountain, further south from you. And the problem is once the Forest Service talking heads show up, and I'm not talking about the district rangers, I mean their PR people, and they give out information that's not right, then all of a sudden the public doesn't believe it anymore. And there's a history of misinformation from these PR people downplaying the situation, and people are just, they don't have any credibility. And for them, for the managers to come to a public meeting and say, we're not doing any firing operations, that, I mean, that's not what they've been saying to other parts of the public 3 or 4 days ago. They did a firing operation that that ran up Sugarloaf Mountain. So you
That's
know,
right.
and
We
went over to
spotted
the other
over.
side. So I can see where the people would be a little bit, especially when you don't have cell service and all you get is the rumor mill and the word of mouth. It's pretty disconcerting. It's a problem, and it happens in the more rural parts of the county.
Well, and I thought we were all rural, and I thought that somehow there would there 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 would be could and should be ways to ease this. And I'm just here trying to figure it out because it's not working and people are really worried. And everything you said, I think is true. I think it's the disconnect. Like as soon as the Forest Service starts talking, I think people stop listening. And so having community people like Gina and myself and Basho and other people trying to give as much direct information as we can, may be all we can do.
Deborah Harris, welcome to the meeting today. I see you have your hand up.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can.
Great. Some days I get mic and some days I don't. I really, this is an important topic. I've been working on this very issue for years. And I can tell you from personal experience, I do the air quality advisory for the district here for Humboldt, Del Norte, and Trinity. And I've been working with the air resource advisors assigned to the fires, and I liaison with people at the Forest Service level. And they're having a new protocol, and they're building in components to it. And one of the components is, I've always said since things went south on some of the fires with burnouts, which caused a lot of trauma to the communities, that we can do better. We have the resources as agencies, and we live around here, we can do better. And I continue to push that message. And I'm getting positive feedback from folks, and I'm still working on it. And I hope to get some better understanding between all the agencies involved on how to get the info out. And as far as overcoming the trauma, the past trauma, and the current skepticism about the talking heads, I'm open to suggestions because I'm willing to go and search out contacts and bring things forward with these folks that I deal with year round that do burning and work wildfires, because we can do better. I do search out information about potential burnouts or fire activity. So I have a little bit of information, but it's a real fine thing because they're working the wildfire and they have plans, but if those plans, for safety reasons or for fuel type, whether it'll burn or not, they've tried to do a little bit along a road one day and were unable because the humidity was too high. So, or, fighter safety. So they have their reasons on, when they strategically burn. There are not any, to my knowledge, huge burnouts that are ongoing or planned. they do put out their news releases. I do know a little bit about the fire and what they're working on now. If it is successful, the 1300 call I was just on before I came into this meeting, if they can be successful at their operations that are in planned right now, it will greatly impact the fire behavior. And so I want to give that positive out to this group and also try to give you some sense of the positive feedback and cooperation I'm getting from the Forest Service for their new, I don't want to say new, but maybe they're stepping forward and coming to a consensus on a better way to handle things. So I'm willing to take anything that this group wants to, hand me and have it in that discussion. So I open to anything that you have to provide, suggestion wise, comment wise.
Thank you, Deborah. Randy, you have your hand up?
I do have my hand up. So what I'm always kind of thinking, what are some practical steps we can take? And I know there's been a real improvement in sort of delineating the evacuation zones and getting mailers out to folks. But what occurs to me is we're relying on tools that don't get to everybody in terms of communication. And so potentially a part of the evacuation planning is what is the plan for hard to reach people, who don't necessarily have the connectivity. I know this is what I think about this a lot, but if that was part of the information about that zone, like there's no cell coverage here on South Fork Road. Places on South Fork Mountain only have landlines. I just wonder if that's would make the system a little richer. And largely, evacuations aren't run by the Forest Service, they're run by the county, right? I could be wrong there. I'm always assuming I am wrong, but it is the county who in fact notifies people and gets information out about evacuations.
It's the sheriff's department.
Oh, yeah, the sheriff's department. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Is that a potential improvement that could be integrated into evacuation zones? And
So if they sign up for Code Red and stuff like that, the Code Red notice can go to a landline. So Dina, do you know if people are signed up for Code Red?
I do not know if they are or not.
Because you can get the notification for Code Red, like for where the warnings actually are or whatever. Those can go to an email, text to a cell phone, voicemail to a cell phone, or voicemail to a landline. So then people would know, if they got a voicemail to their landline, whether they were in an evacuation zone or not. So maybe that would help a little bit, getting more people to sign up for Code Red.
That's true. And I think that the people who are, from what I heard last night at the community meeting, it's people who are in the evacuation warning area. They know they're in an evacuation warning area. And so like one guy was saying, well, these people have these yellow signs on their property and nobody came to see me. Well, like, why am I always not informed? Why, isn't there a way to inform everybody? And I just think that really what I'm getting from this is like, we just have to explore other ways of communicating, find more ways of communicating, because we have the Code Red, we have the evacuation zones, we've sent out the flyers that I think it might be good to resend them out have the county resend them again because people seem ignorant of them. And, like, I know I went and kept mine. I know exactly where it is with my evacuation things. So I think it's lack of communication, lack of being informed. I worry about it deeply because, like, I'm the ambassador to South Fork Road for the Trinity County Fire Safety Council. So I want to do what I can do to help people, but I'm kind of at a loss.
Skyler, are you able to speak a little bit to how we support the county with regard to evacuation, the zone, and how we interact with CoRed and all of that?
So on the Fire Safe Council and RCE side, we support in the evacuation status update and the management of that data. When it comes to evacuation planning, we're working with County OES on the development of the countywide evacuation plan to evaluate what resources are currently available during an evacuation warning order. And we've really been assessing that, and the really big gap that's been found are communities who don't have reliable cell service or internet. I'm curious, have there been like any sandwich boards or similar like information bulletins like set up like at DreamQuest or like a different spot that residents can know to go to, like if they want information?
The boards are up throughout the community. Like, there are many places where they're putting them more than usual. I think because of the outcry of people. That what happened was the fire just blew up, and it looked like a bomb went off, and so communities, all whichever way the wind blew, like at first the people in it blew in the direction of Willow Creek. So the people in Willow Creek thought the fire was right there. And so they started responding or reacting to it. And then there were Humboldt evacuations, but there weren't any Trinity evacuations. Now there's Trinity evacuations.
They're not just.
And the sheriff's department and OES has been like repeatedly putting up the big red evacuation flyers on the internet, on Facebook, on the site, everything. So I think
between a warning and an order, because it's just a warning. It's just a, maybe.
I understand that.
Well, obviously.
I understand that. It's that people understand that. That's where I'm at.
So, and I have one other suggestion. Sorry, Dina. So up at Trinity Center, we have the RCD gave us a big poster size map of where the evacuation zones are in our area. And so maybe that would be something that the RCD could print out those, and you could post those so people could look on these big maps just to identify where their evacuation zones are. That was always very helpful. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea because, for one thing, there are a lot of people who are here in the summer who are only here in the summer.
Right.
And so they're not part of the whole rhythm of the community. And so they're coming in and they're only here for the summer months. And then there are a lot of tourists, and we have, there's a lot of recreation that goes on in the area, but those don't seem to be the people that are concerned. It seems to be residents. But I'm going to take the information that I appreciate you taking time to discuss this, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but I have distilled from this conversation. It's just like, we have to over communicate. There just has to be more communication because people are traumatized from previous, as well as this event. And that it's just something that is part of living here at this point. And we had hoped that this summer would be fireless, but it isn't. But thank you for taking time to talk with me about it.
Bob, you said with the wildfire crisis strategy team at Shasta Trinity and Six Rivers, forwarded a message into the chat that says backfiring operations have not been used.
So I think it's a terminology thing. There's a difference between backfiring and backburns. And so
That's right.
And so they were back burning off the road to, so the fire, to use the road as a fire.
That's right.
burn. So I think that's part of the issue is people are, so they're not using backfiring, but they are back burning.
And they're posting up pictures of it. We can see the pictures of it. It's not like we don't understand. People don't see it. They actually posted pictures of the firefighters with the fire and with the back burning, whatever you want to call it, because it did jump and get out of the perimeter. And that is, or there's like all this trauma that just, jumps out at people.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what the agencies call it. If they're lighting fires, then that's what the public's upset about. A suggestion I was gonna offer to you. Now, we have cell service where I am, but sometimes we don't. So for those times that we don't, what we've got is like a tag team kind of situation figured out, where a person drives down the road and contacts a specific person who then spreads out and goes further down the road and contacts other people for the times when there's no cell service. And people tend to believe that network more than they are believing the public meetings.
Okay.
Thank you. That's
I guess if it's a matter of semantics, it might be nice to have the definition of what the difference between a backburn and backfiring actually is, so that when that gets communicated out, that there's an understanding of what's actually happening. But I can speak from my own personal experience that even when fires like this are happening in larger communities, less rural parts of the county that do have connectivity, the messaging is still not good. And so Allie Lee had made a comment earlier about repetition of info is pretty critical. And I think that's the case. I think there needs to be regular communications out from incident command and the people that are in the know in order to be able to sort of alleviate this kind of panic and anxiety. But that's kind of my personal opinion. It's just whenever I made the attempt to try to communicate that out as like as a failing in this area and in Trinity County in general, it's been my observation that there's a lot of lip service about that, but there's not, from incident to incident and year to year, there's not much change in how they do that communication, how that communication is shared out. So it's something that needs to be improved just in general, all the way across the board and everywhere that it's impacting people. Of course, every 2 weeks. It's been change. Right.
So this is Jerry, and yes to improving all those techniques for communication, but we have such a long history of not believing what we hear. So I think it's very important that we continue to bring more respected community members into the fold for dispersing real information so that it becomes more trusted.
I'm just wondering if that isn't something that through our network and the Fire Safe Council with regard to local area advisors and neighborhood ambassadors, whether that's something that we might be able to improve on information that's being communicated out to those folks so that they can do that chain out into their own communities when the need arises.
Yeah, that definitely would be one strategy for bringing more trusted people into the conversations.
I'll follow up with Philip. This is Skylar. I'll follow up with Philip Seeley after this meeting. He wasn't able to attend today, but I've been in conversation with him and Sunny DeMello with emergency preparedness to either set up some workshops or other information sessions in different communities to support residents in understanding what their evacuation zone is and getting information out there. I've talked to Bill a little bit this week about making sure that our downriver local area advisors are kept in the conversation, but it seems like I'll follow up with him and make sure that that's actually happening. Their contact information has been moved forward, so they'll be part of these conversations.
And Bob Doucette with the Wildfire Crisis Strategy team said that he appreciates the discussion and that this info about communication methods is something that he could take back to his people at the Forest Service. So thanks, Bob, for hearing this important feedback, and hopefully we can work towards trying to improve this, over time in the more immediate future.
And Bob, I think the thing is the local Forest Service has definitely gained more respect, and we believe what they say. It's the incident management teams that come in that don't know the area that I think get a lot of the, they kind of destroy any credibility that the local guys have built up.
And maybe there needs to be some better way of basically interfacing between the local sort of contacts and all the methods in which this information is being shared out, and the incident command, who, hypothetically should be knowing all the most recent information about everything, and how that's getting communicated out. I know that there was daily, during the monument fire, I believe it was, there was like daily interactions at the board of supervisor's office that basically was communicating a lot of that stuff out directly, and it was getting picked up by the Trinity Journal and picked up by people that were posting on Facebook. So there was like much more direct stream of information that was coming out of those meetings. But I haven't necessarily seen that as much from some of these downriver fires, and maybe that's just because of the scale of it. I don't know.
Kind of get that little fog of war thing going on too. I don't have that link yet, and I have been told that there is an incident line that people can call just for regular updates. I wish I knew what that line was and I could type it in here. But yeah, I definitely hear what you're talking about there, and when people's homes and businesses and everything like that is under threat, I can definitely understand the heightened level of concern. So I appreciate it. It's
Thanks,
good.
Bob.
It's good to hear this.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. We appreciate that. Dina, thank you for bringing it up. I'm glad we were able to provide a forum, bring this, to this group. And I just wanted to ask if there was anything else that you wanted to add before we moved on.
No, I just wanted to thank all of you for taking the time with me to talk about this and give me some new ideas and approaches that I can use myself. Thank you.
Thanks, Dina, and we wish you all the best down there. Okay, Dave DeLang seems to have popped off the call, so I'm going to skip to Trinity County RCD. Bethany, would you like to give an update?
Yeah, we are busy as always. Most of our crew work this summer is split between some work downriver. So we're working on the Greater Willow Creek Community Wildfire Defense Grant, currently implementing fuels work in Suzy Q and Trinity Village. We've had crews down there. It hasn't been too smoky, so they're still working there for the time being. And then we're splitting time between some work in Lewiston and continued work out on the Lake Forest plantations. So that's current fuels work. Upcoming fuels work. We sent out some outreach in Coffee Creek for just a small amount of work along Coffee Creek Road and some other major roads right in town. if you know anyone up there who's interested in getting some field work done, especially if they live right in that center of Coffee Creek, please send them my way. The small BLM timber harvest up on Oregon Mountain is wrapping up. We headed out shortly to go look at some water bars up there, so they're pretty much done hauling off of that. It's looking really good up there. And other than that, we're pretty much business as usual, but I'm happy to take any questions.
So Bethany, the Coffee Creek stuff, are you, you're talking about the private lands on along Coffee Creek Road?
Yep, just private lands. I'm looking at kind of the intersection with the highway up to the beginning of the river complex burn scar. That's where we sent out outreach. But if people are a little bit off of that and they're in a good location or they're elderly and they could really use some help, I'd still love to connect with them.
You wouldn't happen to know if the Forest Service is going to be dealing with the hazard trees on Forest Service land going up Coffee Creek Road?
I have heard that concern being kicked around. Skylar, do you have anything up to date on that?
We drove up there a couple weeks ago, and this winter that road's going to be a disaster. There's so many trees waiting to fall on the road. Yeah, we were driving up, you know, past Big Flat Campground, and people drove in and then they couldn't leave because trees had fallen down in between when they drove in and went to leave. The friends that we were visiting said, bring chainsaws.
Randy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to share the Upper Trinity NIFWIF project that I mentioned. Likely has some funding in it for hazard trees in the river complex. I know there were some issues with that hazard tree EA that the region had signed, but imminent hazards can be dropped. So yeah, we don't have an executed agreement, so I know that might not, you know, help right now, but there are some resources coming, I guess, for that work.
Thanks, Randy. David?
Yeah, I can add to that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I have been speaking with both the Forest Service and Trinity County DOT about the possibility of using the Good Neighbor Authority to address some hazard trees specifically in that area. DOT said that they would be willing to pursue it to address some of the hazards, but they're limited on their ability to you know, go too far beyond the road or truly address some of those steeper terrain conditions. So there's some potential that DOT can assist. It wouldn't, I believe, be until the fall when the crews are available to do that type of work. But regardless, those conversations are occurring both in terms of a funding source as well as getting somebody out there. One thing I am looking for some assistance is to know exactly where the problem areas truly are. That particular road goes in and out of Forest Service, in and out of private. And if I heard Big Flat Campground, I've heard the Cedars area is a problem. So if there's any specific information that any of you have about where I could focus first, that would be useful.
Great, thanks, David. And just for the record, I know that Dina, looks like Dina has dropped off, but both Skylar and Bob Doucette looked up the information line for the Hill Fire. That number is 530-414-9056. So either try to probably get that information out to folks. Okay, yes.
To get a chance to look up the resource conservation district.
Yes, it was signed. So we're in the process of beginning to figure out what our methodology will be for basically suggesting or proposing, specific projects for that funding. But that should be happening relatively soon. A lot of the focus currently with Humboldt County RCD in regard to that opportunity with funding through the State Coastal Conservancy is going towards the hiring of a forest health regional coordinator that's going to probably be on for basically doing a lot of the coordination across the region. So that's been a lot of their focus for that particular, the status of that particular funding at this point.
So we
So I don't have a hard timeline for when those will be, when we will be able to start allocating funds.
Sorry, guys. So, this is Carol. So I was asking Kelly at previous meetings, one of the, funding sources to do the, fuel reduction around Global Dump was going to be the, Resource Conservation District Collaborative.
The North Coast RCD Collaborative, yeah.
So I was asking about the status of that. Just, yeah.
So the funding is basically, the agreement is in hand. We're beginning, basically sort of the initial steps of that, which includes the hiring of a forest health regional coordinator. And we'll be working towards, actually then allocating funds for local projects throughout the region. And the more that I've dug into this, the more that I see that there's only a few RCDs throughout the region, which spans from Marin all the way up to Shasta Valley and Siskiyou County. Shasta Valley, the Trinity County RCD, and the and Napa are the only real organizations that currently have a strong lead on getting actual implementation done. So, and we'll have our own level of autonomy with regard to the assignment of priority to projects. So I have no doubt that it will get done, but and I suspect that because of that, limited amount of opportunity with regard to the actual implementation, we'll probably end up seeing somewhere between $800,000 and $1 million for the county here in order to meet our deliverables to the State Coastal Conservancy. So I'm certain that we'll get there, but I'm going to continue to push on them for moving that whole process forward. So that's kind of the state of that. With just a few things to add on to the Trinity County RCD project updates. David Colbeck and I met yesterday. We were moving forward with some pre-planning with regard to project prioritization and some of the projects that we will have David working on with us as sort of essentially an ID team lead for the upcoming, partner-led NEPAs that we're kind of going to be working on within the next year, the more immediate term and into the future. So I'm cautiously optimistic about how we're going to be moving forward with the county on that front. That will, with the intent that will, be increasing the pipeline of projects that we'll be able to get done both on public and private lands. Can you confirm, Randy, if you're still there, did the acquisition of the Trinity Timberland, the Trinity Headwaters land actually occur? When I spoke with Nick last week, he said it was imminent.
It's occurring. society is fraying at the seams and some mail went amiss despite the best efforts. So Nick has been hammering out the details and it's very close.
Ink's not dry yet, says Pat. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Okay, well, thank you for that confirmation. And I think just given the time frame, I'll probably go ahead and end our report out now. I don't see the planning department, oh yes, but we do have Trinity County Natural Resources, David Colback. Do you have things to report out for the group?
No, thank you. I think you covered anything that I would want to say between Watershed Center and RCD. I will say that we're very close with the Good Neighbor Authority, the second SPA, the amendment that adds 1.5 million into that agreement, looking for signatures soon. Within that, there's quite a bigger focus on fuels reduction, fuels management. And so I'm hoping to work with all of you to try to figure out where to go with those funds. And again, that can include some hazard tree removal throughout the county. So that's all I have at the moment.
Very good.
David, I have a question. So I hate to ask, but you know, the tub grinder is still up at Trinity Hopewell Dump. And it hasn't been operating and people are still dumping lots of stuff. So actually the piles of stuff are growing faster than the tub grinder is doing anything with them. I mean, the tub grinder is now surrounded by piles of brush. So what's the plan?
That's a great question. I don't know what the plan is at that location with any additional materials, so that I can try to reach out to solid waste to figure out what their intentions are. They would need support material anyway, or support equipment in order to move piles. So I assume they can push things around and process it as needed. But I don't have a solid answer for you right now.
Hey, thanks. So people are, I mean, actually they were taking pictures the other day. They were laughing. So it's kind of entertaining.
If you have one of those pictures, feel free to forward it to me, please.
Great. Any other comments or questions for David of the Natural Resources Division of the county? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much, David. We appreciate your time on in that report. I know that Jerry's got a hard stop at 2:30 and we're just getting to the Trinity Collaborative group. So Jerry and or Larry, do you have anything that you'd like to present to this group?
I can start, and any of the other collaborative members, please join in. We had a meeting last week. First order of business was to review a letter from the Board of Supervisors to Secretary Vilsack to make the RAC process a lot easier and to allow RAC members to serve additional terms. So we're hoping that that will smooth that whole system. We did have a good update from Tara Jones, who let us know that a lot of projects are being kind of stalled because they can't find an archaeologist. And I guess not much can happen without that review. And compounding that is that they're in a hiring freeze, a new hire freeze. So that's proving to be difficult. I did give an update on cameras. PG&E is now willing to put 2 cameras at every site, the 2 downriver, and I think the 6 or 7 in other parts of the county, and they want them all done this year. The camera on Bald Hill is installed. I'm not sure it's online. If it's not yet, it should be soon. And Digital Path, the company that does the Alert California, is working with Forest Service to get the permitting done for all the rest of the cameras so they can do the install before it starts to snow. And I think that's all I have to report. Anybody else from the collaborative want to add to that, please?
Wasn't one of the cameras right where the hill fire is now? Isn't it like on Horse Mountain? Isn't that where one of the camera
No,
locations?
the one on Horse Mountain is not installed because that tower is a private company back east. So they're working to get permission. The camera that was installed downriver is on Bald Hills.
Right.
So I'm not sure what access that has to the hill fire.
So we're excited that Tara has said that the work on the pilot project will start this August. So next month.
Yahoo!
Yeah. So we've only been waiting for 12 years for that.
Right.
So this was the first collaboratively inspired project. So we've had a hell of a time getting it through the process, but they're
But as
finally
much as
ready.
we love Tara, it's another Forest Service statement. So let's see something really happen.
Yeah.
So, and the next field trip is August 16th, which is the North Trinity Communities Risk Reduction Project. And that is kind of pre-scoping. So if anybody's interested in any projects going up Highway 3, I think from Stewart Fork all the way up to the base of Scott Mountain, they're gonna be looking for, what do you want besides a roadside fuel break? So they're gonna include, I think, the camera at Bonanza King, some trails, some permanent maintenance around the airport, I guess, and whatever else people wanna propose to be included in the scope of that turning out to be a huge project.
Thanks for bringing that up, Carolyn. There's actually field trips planned, I think, through September all around the county. So I don't have a list in front of me, but maybe Kelly, you could publish that list to council members, and if they'd like to join, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can get that list. I get notes from our last meeting and I can get that to Skylar.
Thanks.
You can get it out to the group. Okay, anything else from anybody on the collaborative for questions or comments? Okay, not hearing any. Thank you both, Jerry and Larry and Carol for all that input. Next up, looks like Trinity Center VFD.
Should we go to Chris? I think yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, I did press that. Chris with the NRCS, sure.
Hello, good afternoon. Yeah, I don't have much to update. We're just finishing up kind of our contract season, but the period is open for next year to get applications in. So if you know anybody who's interested, then send them our way. And those new forest owners that you were mentioning, Carol, if they call our office and it makes sense, we could schedule something. I'd be happy to go out and chat with them and tell them what I think. So they so have them reach out, or have any potential people reach out to us. And I think that's it, unless there's questions.
Chris, why don't you put your email in the chat so they know how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, will do.
Great. Anything else for Chris? One thing I will, since talking with Chris here for the moment, that kind of jogged my memory was that something new that's actually related back to grants is that the WCS team, Wildfire Crisis Strategy team, as well as their partners here at the RCD and at the Watershed Center, they've got a short proposal that's going into region. Into region, and so for Joint Chiefs, for a new round of funding that's for the fiscal years 25, 26, 27. They anticipate that they'll be asked for a full proposal, at which point there'll be a lot of coordination between the WCS team and their partners here in Trinity to get together a new round. It looked like their intent was to go for about $9 million. About 600,000 of that would be going to, I think, the NRCS as well for treatment on private lands. So that is kind of in the development. I think it was submitted today, as a matter of fact. So I was just reminded about that. We were talking with Chris. So, okay, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Okay, go back. Trinity Center VFD, Carol.
Nope. Got my question about mobile, as usual.
Okay. Nothing else?
No.
Okay. I guess then we will move forward and see. Larry, do you have anything for the sake of to report out with regard to SAFE specifically?
No, sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. So yeah.
No worries. Okay, thank you very much, Larry. Yes. Deborah Harris, it looks like you were up for the North Chorus Unified Air Quality Management District. Do you have any reports out for this group? Looks like you're on mute if you happen to be talking. Are you there, Deborah? Okay, looks like Deborah may have stepped away. So it looks like we've come to the end of everybody that I think is on the call right now. Did I miss anybody? Is there any other reports out for the good of the order that anybody would like to make? Maybe Al?
Yes, this is Allie Lee.
Thanks, Allie. What you got for us?
I just wanted to update everyone that we just launched our Klamath River Fund, and folks on this call might be interested, even though it's not directly related to Trinity. It is related. And so I'm going to leave the link for that information in the chat, and you're welcome to check it out.
Great. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Allie. We appreciate that. You see that link in the chat. Thank you so much. With that, it looks like we've reached. Didn't that get reported out? Maybe you didn't. Okay. Well, I guess another sort of go back on RCD sort of staffing updates. I don't know that this has been reported out to this group specifically, but Bethany Llewellyn, our Forest Health Program Manager, will be leaving the RCD and moving up to Oregon with her partner, who's going to be going to school up in the Portland area. And we're certainly sad to see her go, but she's done some amazing work here, and I think we've gotten some really good. We've been flying that position now for about 3 or 4 weeks. And we have had some pretty darn good, beyond that program manager position, we're also kind of expanding just because we have so much money coming down the pike that we've expanded our offerings for positions to a forestry position, which will be a new position to the district. And so between the two, we've got some pretty good resumes that have come in, and we anticipate setting up some interviewing within the next couple of weeks, so that there'll hopefully be some transition between somebody that we'd be bringing on and Bethany while we still have her. So Bethany, thank you so much for all the work that you've done and all the efforts that you've put into fire safety and wildfire mitigation here in Trinity County, and we're certainly going to miss you.
Bethany, the response at the collaborative when Kelly let us know that was no. we are so depressed. You can't leave.
Very sweet, Carol, but we've got a good team here. It'll be just fine transitioning out.
I'm still depressed.
I have some updates from county planning and DOT that I can share out.
Okay, perfect.
So this is Skylar. I got one update from the County Department of Transportation and one from county planning. So to start with planning, they're going to be general plan update workshops because they anticipate the first draft of the general plan to drop in August. So those workshops are going to be August 21st at the fairgrounds and August 22nd at the Veterans Hall, both from 5:30 p.m. to 7. And then after that, they're going to have community plan workshops. So on September 18th, Trinity Center in Post Mountain, September 19th, Junction City, Pine Pond, October 15th, Lewiston and Douglas City, and October 16th, Weaverville and Capeport. All those are 5:30 to 7 p.m. And then you can email Bella, the county planner, at for information's on the trinitycounty.org planning page. For County Department of Transportation, they expect to start work on Trinity Dam Boulevard to repair a 300-foot section of storm damage at PM 22.9 next month. And then they currently are evaluating Senior Road for repairs. I think they've been held up a little bit in environmental and engineering, but they're hopeful. They want to start next month. And so that would be at post mile 18.75. And that will also be a winter storm repair from 2024 winter storms.
Question about the general plan.
Yes,
So that'll be all the elements of the general plan?
that's what Bella told me.
So have they done any, have the consultant done any outreach? Fire safety council, about the safety element?
So I was given a draft of the safety element to review, so I provided comments on that. So, but it's kind of interesting, the draft that I reviewed, several of the programs were from the previous version of the safety element, but some were, for example, the county should implement the wildland fire assessment program, which is something that the fire safety council currently coordinates, so. That is to say, a few of their programs are in line with existing fire safety council program.
Yeah. Great. Okay. With that, I guess that's all of our partner project updates. Do we have any specific future discussion items for next month's meeting that anybody would like to take on?
This is more of a question, it's kind of when do you even start reaching out to all of the various firewise communities, information?
So we're planning to do a board engagement to our Firewise board members in August to share what's been accomplished so far in the year, to share out the reporting form. I've been wanting to for the past few weeks because we did an updated reporting form to make it easier for residents to just fill out an application and turn that in rather than us trying to call people and do that work that way. But I haven't. We have the form, but I haven't done the driving around to community spots and outreaching, but hoping to get that out like next month as well. Thank you for keeping me honest, be on it.
Okay.
You have the agenda, you use everything together. That's all that, and like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we've been getting some online submissions from that form, which has been good.
Okay, guess with that, and not hearing any other suggestions, we've reached the end of our agenda. The next meeting is August 22nd, 2024. So we hope to see you all there. And if there's nothing else, we're good to the order. I guess we're adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you being here.
That's the big picture of the county.